Hi, I'm Scott.
And I'm Michele, and we are the owners of the Main Street Mouse.
And this is the Main Street Mouse Weekly Podcast, show number 187 for May 19th, 2025.
For your safety, remain seated with the doors closed, keeping your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside while the tram is moving. And supervise your children.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
'Cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness!
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Dead men tell no tale.
I know not who you are, nor how I came to find you. But may I just say, I...
Come on, everybody. Here we go!
Put on your dancing shoes. We got a thing to do. It all starts with you. So let your light shine through. Get up and when the groove is feeling right, got to throw your hands up in the sky. A little bit of magic every night and every day. Just celebrate. Oh, celebrate.
That's right. We celebrated Happy all last week.
So that is the new theme song for Disneyland's 70th anniversary, which we just got back from the kickoff of. So we have a supersized fun show for you today.
We do. And that song we just played is by the Jonas Brothers, and they were picked to sing the song that is basically the theme for all of Disneyland's 70th anniversary.
It is.
And
so
the song is everywhere.
It's everywhere. Trust and believe. That whistle, like if you go to Disneyland, you're going to hear that whistling noise when you're asleep.
It happens for every show. It happens for every
everywhere.
choir. So if you don't like the song at first, you will start to like it by the end because you will know it.
That's right. And I like the Jonas Brothers, so like all good.
It's a good little beat.
All good in the Disney hood.
It's a good little beat, though. It's a lot of fun. So as Michele said, we just got back bright and early Friday morning.
We did.
And we're still exhausted.
We are.
And this week's not slowing down for us. We got a busy week coming up, even busier almost, minus the air travel.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah. So as we told you guys last Monday when we finished our show that we had to get up bright and early Tuesday morning to take off and head for the coast.
We did. So it's weird because we've been like anticipating and hyping up this trip for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like every time we're going to do something, or like I have a list in my head of things that are coming up on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you wait, and it goes by so fast.
It really does. When we were there, it went by fast, but it didn't go by, if that makes sense. It seemed like I didn't feel rushed.
No, I didn't feel rushed either. But I did feel super tired and sore.
Oh my gosh, we were so exhausted. That first day was rough at the end of the day.
Yeah, so I know this show will probably be a bit scattery, but we are, like I said, we're still regrouping and we have to leave for the Epic Universe media event shortly. So, it was like, what it was, 60 hours roughly?
It was roughly, yep. We arrived, we got to Disneyland just before 10, or we got to LAX just before 10, and our plane was due to leave 60 hours later at 10 p.m.
Like literally that amount of time.
Yep, 2.5 days later.
Yeah. So, so the work trip was like we explained before, it was like hit the ground running, go until we go to the airport.
It was. There wasn't any time for us to have any of our normal downtime to do what we want to do.
No. There was like no going back to the room for a rest. There was none of that. But so we got to California. The landing was terrible.
Yeah. So as everybody knows, Michele is scared to death of flying.
Terrified.
Although once we got to MCO, Orlando's International Airport, we saw a lot of people. They were either Disney cast members who were part of the media people flying out there on our flight, or different media sites like ours that we saw their people at the airport as well. And then coming to find out there was even more people that we didn't even know.
Right.
That we've learned over the few days we were there that were actually on our same flight because everybody talked about our landing.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you the short version because we have a lot to cover. But so, I'm afraid to fly, and usually it's takeoff that bothers me. But after this trip, I have a whole new fear of landing. And it's like, so, you can watch your flight tracker on the screen in front of you, and so you can feel the descent because your ears change, and you can feel like the plane feels like it's slowing down.
And you start to see the ground getting closer.
Yeah.
The windows.
So here's me because I can't wait to get on the ground. I'm watching the countdown, like 1 minute left, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jesus. And then the plane got super loud and they veered straight up. Like we were just about to land, and they took off, and we started climbing higher and higher and higher, and they did not say anything.
No, I think it said we were at 120 feet from landing, which I think we were actually closer. I don't think it was exact because
it was close.
It was really close. We were mere seconds away from touchdown, and you could tell the pilot something was wrong. He pulled right up, and we took off. We went back up to 5,000 feet, which is pretty quick. And if you've ever been to LAX, it's right on the ocean.
Yes.
So you could tell he had to fly out, turn around and come back, and then circle, and then go back down the same landing strip. So we had to completely do a circle.
Yeah, and they didn't say anything. Well, come to find out, there was congestion on the runway, so we could have hit something if we landed.
Right.
But they did not say that, of course. I don't know if it was to keep people calm, but it was very eerie because when this happened, you could have heard a pin drop in the plane. Like, so everybody was like,
except for the guy next to me who was snoring.
Oh, that guy. There was a guy that snored so loud you could hear him through your headphones. And I was terrified. I was like, I don't think I've ever felt like a fear of doom like that. And when watching it, and it was like the minutes were going up and down, like it said, okay, 5 minutes to landing. Then it went up to 11 minutes to landing, then 9 minutes. And like there was no end in sight. Like it just kept going up and down.
And they never said a word.
They never said anything until like right before the end. Oh yeah, we had to, move, whatever. Okay. I don't know. It was so weird. It was just so scary. And then people, like Scott said, everybody was like, were you on that flight? He overheard a lady like text her mom and tell her that she loved her and didn't know what was going on with the plane. Y'all, we're talking terrifying stuff.
Yeah, it was frightening. I've been on planes before where they've had to pull up or where we went to take off and they brought us right back down. So I've been on flights like that before, but
that
it's
was
many
quick.
years. But I think the fear that's set in with this one is all the stuff that's been going on lately with radar not working and flight
it's been landing.
mishaps.
It's been landings that the mishaps have had.
So I mean, especially this past week, all the stuff coming out of New Jersey's airport where the radars were not working for 60 to 90 seconds. So I think that was in our head. And you know what? The pilot and the crew, they handled it professionally.
They just didn't say anything.
They didn't say anything. So I guess they handled it professionally by not putting the fear of God into everybody. But even I'll admit, I was a little bit disturbed. And I think it was because of the fear of everything that's been going on. I was like, uh-oh. And then once throughout the week, we got to talk to Becky, our travel agent, because she was there. And she said, oh, yeah, that's happened quite a few times with her. It's usually because either a plane is coming across the runway or another plane.
It was just so last minute because we were almost on the ground. And all of a sudden you heard the plane rev super loud and it went like straight up. Scared me so bad. So when we got on the ground and got to the airport, I'm like, thank you, God.
I think she wanted to go out there and kiss the ground.
You know what? And I'm looking at Scott and I'm like, it figures. Because all these years of fear and then we almost had a mishap. And it's like, see, this is what I'm afraid of.
Well, and then eventually we had to go back to the airport to come home. And I kept saying to you, I say, well, what do you want me to do? Go rent a car and we drive home? I mean, it's like, what's our choice? Because she did not want to go to the airport. I'm like, you can't base that flight and that landing on what's going to happen with the next flight because every flight crew, every plane, everything is always different. And it's so hard to predict based on you can't not fly because of a previous thing. I get the fear gets there, but it's just like a car accident. You get in one car accident doesn't mean you're ever going to get one again.
No, that's true. I think it just was like it solidified how terrifying it was when we heard other people talking about that particular flight over the couple of days. So it wasn't me overreacting. It was just facts.
I'd have to say there was probably 20 to 30 people on that flight that were part of either Disney's media team flying from Orlando to Florida, or other influencers, media sites, and such like that were going out there that were on that same plane.
People working the event, and it was terrible. So anyway,
it was. So anyway, we did land. We didn't check bags, so we carried on, which was very nice.
Yes, we walked to where we were supposed to pick up our lift.
Yes.
Now, mind you, Disney took care of all of these arrangements for us, so it was very it was easy. We just had to follow their instructions, like go here, call for a lift here. They're going to take you to the hotel. They made it so seamless and easy once we landed to get wherever place we needed to be. So we called the Lyft driver.
Met us right where we were supposed to.
Met us where we were supposed to, and he took us right to the Disneyland hotel.
And it was actually great. I mean, I have to say the Disney planning team did such a great job from beginning to end, putting us on our flight to getting us home. I mean, it was perfect. That part was seamless.
It really was. We've covered so many events over the years, and this one seemed pretty smooth. And but anyway, we'll keep talking about it. So we get to the Disneyland Hotel. Now, we have been there before just to walk around, like for Haunted Mansion's 50th anniversary. Yes. They had it all decked out for Haunted Mansion. We've walked their pool area. We've done all that, but
this was different.
This was different because we were staying there.
Walking in the main doors where people get dropped off was, I don't know why that was exciting, but it was
exciting.
It was exciting to walk through those doors and see where you check in.
We actually checked in and we're like, this is pretty cool.
Now, we were there, so by the time we got to our lift and drove there, it was about 11 o'clock by the time we got there. So we're thinking to ourselves, there is no way we're going to be able to get in our room now because it's way too early. They don't check in until 3, I think it is. Maybe it's 4. It's either 3 or 4. And to our body clocks, it's 2 o'clock.
Yeah, I was all confused.
So we're thinking we're not going to be able to check in. And we already had stuff we knew we had to do because we literally, like Michele said, we're hitting the ground running.
They already had an itinerary for us.
So we check in. Fortunately, I think because I said we're exhausted, the guy said, "Oh, I'll find you a room that's open so I can get you checked in right away." And he did.
He did. So we got to go right up, drop off our luggage, check out the room. And then, honestly, we were in the room for a few minutes and we had to leave because we had to go get our media credentials over at the Grand Californian, which you can get to from downtown Disney. And then the media check-in wasn't just like a usual like check-in window where they give you a bag of information and a packet. Like they did give you all that, but it was a room, and if you watched our socials, you probably saw it had all the merchandise set up. It had food set up. It had, characters in and out of there. Yeah. But it was kind of like, yes, we were going to get to see merchandise in the stores and all that, but this was like our first spot to where we could get exclusive content of the food merch.
Yeah, you were able to, at this point, you could talk to managers about food. You could talk to the chefs and such about the culinaries. They had free Mickey bars and free ice cream sandwiches.
They did.
Like Michele said, they had, we saw Minnie was there, Goofy was there, and I know Mickey was there at some point.
We didn't see Mickey, though.
And they were all in their celebration outfits.
Yeah, so they had their 70th anniversary attire on. They had music playing. It was just, it was a really cool way to kick off the event.
And they had some props. So they had like the original Skyliner carts there. And then they had different things like that. They had one of the pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean. The figurine was there. So they had some really cool stuff. The coolest thing they did, which they've never done. So usually, thank goodness, Disney gives us a bag of swag when we get to do these events of merchandise. So it's like our free little gift bag for doing all the coverage and such. The coolest thing they did this time, so they gave us an empty bag and they gave us an e-ticket book like they used to do back in the day for rides. And you had to take your e-ticket book and go to different locations, and that's how we got our swag.
Yeah, like the first one was Mickey plush, a Mickey and Minnie 70th anniversary plush, which we both got. So you took the e-ticket up there, you got a stamp, and they gave you the plush. Then there was a water bottle station. Then there was one for the ears. Yes. There was fanny packs. So
hat and headband,
headband, and maybe the headband was first.
And then we got the. They even gave us. It was an e-ticket tin of mints.
Yeah,
it was the theming for all this stuff was really cool the way they did it this year. They really put a lot of thought and effort. And forgot to mention, when we walked into this room, you walk through a big 70th.
Yes.
So they really did that room up really cool. And considering it was only for that day.
Yeah, they, but if you think about it, it's 70 years, so they have to do it big. And and Scott and I were both working media, so we each got a bag of stuff. So we had all these plush and all these things get home. Now, mind you, if you recall, he just said a few minutes ago we only had carry-ons, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, Michelle's like, the first thing she said to me, she goes, how are we going to
get this home?
Now, packing, I did throw a duffel bag in the bottom of my suitcase just in case we had to check so we would have room. But we'll get to that in a little bit because this was just the first day and we knew there was merchandise we wanted that, of course, they weren't giving to us. We knew we were going to buy shirts or something like that throughout the couple days.
Which we really didn't spend hardly anything.
We didn't spend hardly anything.
But anyway, go on.
Anyway, so we got our credentials. We were kind of hungry at that point because, again, we had been traveling all morning and really hadn't eaten much.
They gave us like those Biscoff cookies on the plane. That was it.
That was it.
Wah, wah.
So we went over to Naples Pizzeria in the downtown Disney district, which was pretty good pizza. We got that.
Just pizza window.
Yeah, it was a pizza window, but we had to get something in our stomachs because we knew at 2:30 that day we had the first parade of the day to cover.
Yes.
First media event.
Yes.
But we were in the Grand California for a little bit, checking out that room, getting the coverage. You could probably see a video of the food. You have videos of the merchandise.
Now, mind you, Scott has done a really good job with our YouTube. So a lot of these videos are on the Main Street Mouse on our YouTube. Please check that out and share with people because he put a lot of work into this and there's a lot of good coverage.
And I still have more videos that are going to be going out. I still have 4 more, I think, that I have to publish. It's just we're trying to spread them out because we didn't want to flood. Because social media, if we flood social media, is not. But we are going to have coverage of all the big media events we covered. I have the videos of those things, and they will be out there. But so the first one out there was the food, the preview of the food. So there's 70 plus food items they created specifically for this. And when I was filming the food, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry. I was starving at that point, and I'm looking at all this food. I'm like, oh, I want to try that, I want to try that. The sad thing was most of those foods weren't going to be available until Friday, the day after we left.
I know. Oh, but anyways.
It was a tease.
It was a total tease because our event was over Thursday, and Friday was the official kickoff. But anyway, so we had to take our stuff back to the room, run back out again, because we had a parade to watch at California Adventure, and it was the Better Together Pixar parade.
Yes, it was. Which we had seen this years ago. A similar parade. I think one or two of the floats were the same, but there's been quite a few movies that have come out since we saw it that were added to this.
Yes. So it's got new additions to it. So we did, and we watched that. And then what did we do after that?
So after that, we had a little bit of a break. So we walked around DCA. We walked through Avengers Campus because I needed to see it. We walked through the Pixar area, got a slushie.
Oh, the slushie.
It wasn't bad temperature wise there. There was a nice breeze the whole time. It was cool, but for some reason we were both really, really thirsty, and the frozen slushie sounded really good.
Well, because we were go. We got up at 3:00 in the morning,
and we had just spent the last 45 minutes standing in one place in the sun waiting for this parade. But the parade was cool. It was really cool to see that little parade they put together. We walked around DCA. We got done with that, and we knew our next thing was dinner, actually, at Splitsville that night. They had
media dinner.
Right. They had 3 or 4 different locations throughout downtown Disney where, depending on what you picked, you would go to that restaurant, and they had a whole setup where all the people who picked that dinner or that establishment were all there with you, which was cool. So we picked Splitsville just because we know it's a place we'd like the food.
Yes, and we got to sit with our friends Jeff and Denise. But there really wasn't anybody else from Walt Disney World Media there. No. And as a sidebar, so when we cover events here, we know the usual characters that are there. Like, we even if we don't know them, we see familiar faces.
Right, but there's a group of us that are always kind of together. It's like
the fan site group is pretty much the same all the time. The influencers, they kind of get traded in and out, but the fan sites are the same.
And you can even go up another step that all of us who hang out together are all under the MEI Mouse Fan Travel
we're all
umbrella.
Becky's people.
So we're all Becky's people. So we all get along. We've done this long enough with each other.
Yeah.
That we've just gotten along really well with each other. We know how each other work. And we've become friends because you got to remember, we vacation with these people. We go to media events.
you know what? And there's people that are on the media list that I don't like flat out, but our group of fan sites I do like.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to be catty. So there was a lot of media there that was either Disneyland people or international media or Disneyland influencers.
Right. They're people.
Yeah, people that we had no idea who they were, which was totally fine because, we were there to do a job.
Right. And we did find out eventually through the weekend that there was only like 5 or 6 influencers from Orlando area that went out there. And I think we kind of knew who they all were, if not by name, by face at least. But we didn't get to know that until actually the next day. That's all they had of those.
No, and it was the usual fan site group for the most part. But anyway, so we had dinner, and then we had to get right back over to California Adventure, right?
I got to mention, though.
What?
So Splitsville gave us swag also.
Bowling pins.
They gave us bowling pin drink cups, which were huge.
Another thing to throw in the carry-on.
Another thing that we got to put. These are plastic cups, so it's like they got to be safe so they don't shatter.
I almost left the Splitsville bowling pin cups, but you're like, no, they say Anaheim on it.
They said Anaheim. We had to take them. So, Michelle didn't like her color, so I swapped it out. Got her the color. She wanted the purple one. And but we had to get them and bring them home, and we did get it home. But yeah, so we did that. They had a preset menu that we could pick from.
Yeah, dinner, which is nothing that we usually order from. No. But you know what? It's free.
It's free food, so we took it. But so that was at 5 that started. So at 7 o'clock, we had our first panel of the whole time.
Oh, that's right.
And it was the Celebrate Happy Entertainment, Decor, and More Touches of Magic presentation. Now, we weren't allowed to record this in any way, but this is kind of where they went over the planning.
Yes.
Of everything and how they created the decor and the banners and the color scheme and the music and just everything all the work that went into this, which is actually amazing because if you go there, you see how much work they really put into this event.
It's a whole lot.
It really is, though. It's going to be a great 70th, I think, this full year to celebrate Disneyland's 70th anniversary. So we went there in the Sunset Theater, which is the Mickey's Philharmonic theaters where they had us at. So we went in there, we sat through there, we didn't meet, but they talked to us about the different things and such. And then we left there and they're like, okay, now you're going to get a sneak preview of the new Disney Junior Mickey Mouse Clubhouse live. So they took us into that room.
So we saw the very first performance of that and we all sat on the ground like we were 5.
It hurts so bad to get up.
I know. We're like, everybody have a seat. And I'm looking at Scott and I'm like, who's going to pick who up off the ground after all this?
I know. It was me, you, Lou. So we're all sitting there and it's like, we all need each other to help us up.
I know. Lou looks at me and he's like, how are we going to get up? I'm like, I have no idea.
I'm looking at his son. I'm like, you get up and pull me
you get up. You're the youngest one. You help the rest of us off the floor.
But it was a really cool little show. And we do have the video and that's already on YouTube. I'm going to edit it because we put it up really quick and I didn't really get a chance to make it look nicer. But it's a really good show. And it kind of, I've never sat down and watched the actual television show, but from the little bits and pieces I've seen, it really did kind of look like that. Like Mickey's like, oh, we got to go to Daisy's house. And the screen like looks like they're walking towards Daisy's house.
Yeah, it was really cute, and to see it, first before anybody else was pretty awesome.
It was.
And I'm just gonna throw a disclaimer at this point. Our bodies hurt so bad,
and it was after 10:30 to us, but we had been up since about 3.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, and I will, to my dying breath, say that there is something about the cement out there. I can walk for days at Walt Disney World, and yeah, I'm tired, but I'm okay. My feet and legs and back never hurt anywhere else in the world as bad as they do at the Disneyland Resort.
And the only thing I can always say is that the cement is from the 50s, but I'm sure it's been replaced since then. But
right, but it has no give. It's like walking a convention cement floor.
It is that thick, super thick cement that just does not have any give at all.
And we had good shoes on with like memory foam. It doesn't matter.
It does not matter. We're just not used to it. You can tell the people, like the annual pass holders and stuff, they're fine. But you bring us out there who aren't used to that,
God.
It's horrible to walk.
So yeah, we all like managed to get our butts up off the floor, and then we had to move it.
Yeah, because then we went to the Carthay Circle, and they had a little 2-minute show.
Yes.
On the outside, a little projection show at California Adventure.
Yes. And then we were getting to see the debut of the new World of Color show.
Happiness.
Yes. Is that what it was?
World Color Happiness.
For the debut performance of that was kicking off Friday also.
Mm-hmm.
And
so we had a reserved viewing area. However, this is when we realized how many media people were at this event.
Because when they put everybody together from all the different broadcasts, it was insane.
Sardines in a can.
It really was. And I had a tall person in front of me who not only was tall, but kept lifting his camera over his head.
Which you will see in our video.
And Not you can tell us Walt Disney World people are so courteous to each other. I don't know who this dude was, but I wanted to kick him. I wasn't really going to kick him. I'm not violent.
So the show started out first. The new president of Disneyland, Thomas Mazalum, I believe is how you say it. I'm not sure. That could be wrong. It's Mazloum, who is the new president of Disneyland. He's been in president for 7 weeks.
Yeah, he's brand new.
Brand new. He came on and delivered a few-minute speech before the whole show started. And he got everybody right away because he said Walt's famous line to all come to this happy place, welcome.
Yes. And mind you, we're all tired anyway, so it was
emotions are on overload.
But you can tell this man has true heart and soul for Disney and about preserving Walt's vision.
Yeah, and we can go into that a little bit more because we did get to talk to him more the next day.
Right, okay, anyway.
But so he did the introduction to the show, welcoming everybody to be in there. Then there was a pre-show done by the Muppets.
Yes, there's a Muppets pre-show before the actual show starts.
Right, which is basically the disclaimer of don't jump in the lagoon or the water. Don't jump in the bay.
Yeah, basically. And they kept saying, don't jump in the bay. Don't jump in the bay.
Which I didn't know anybody's ever jumped in the bay, but I
think
guess
they were just supposed to be funny.
And it was funny, but they had like a Muppet lawyer who'd come on and go, not good enough. Not good enough. You're not saying
really
it good enough. But it was great because come to find out, the Muppets are also celebrating their 70th anniversary this year.
Crazy, right?
Which is so crazy. I had no idea that the Muppets and Disneyland started the exact time.
I thought Muppets wasn't that old.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool that it was really cool that they incorporated the Muppets into the intro, into World of Color. So we do have a separate video for their intro. It's about under 5 minutes, and then we have the full World of Color video after that, which then the World of Color video started. And it's themed with Inside Out and your emotions of happiness, because they say you can't have happiness if you don't have all the emotions.
Yeah, and they do. I'm going to tell you right now. They have a Rapunzel section. They did the Snuggly Duckling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Except, the sucky part was, I was
guy's camera in your face.
The guy's camera. Whoever you are, I will find you. Not just that, but so here's the thing: when I don't think people realize when you're working, you are paying attention to your angle.
Yep.
You're watching your camera, not the actual show,
right,
because you want to make sure that you're recording what's important.
Right.
But when you also have things in your way, you have to keep moving, like to try to make sure you get a good view. So honestly, yes, I saw the show, but I didn't really see the show. Yeah,
because a lot of times when we see these shows, like Michele said, we're not actually watching the show. We're watching it through the screen of our recording device to make sure it looks right through our screen.
So we're not, it's a job.
It is.
I mean, it's not like we're sitting there laughing and smiling and watching a show. No, we're like, you're checking everything. You're making sure your equipment's right.
Right.
And
it's working.
Yeah, and it's working. And but from what I did see of the show, it was beautiful. I'm super excited that we have some Tangled representation.
Which they do well out there.
Yeah. They like Tangled out in Disneyland. I'm moving.
Can't afford to live in Disneyland.
We can't afford to live out there. But so, and by that time, I remember originally we were like, oh yeah, because the Disneyland park will be open 2 more hours. We could walk over there and blah, blah, blah. Oh, no.
And full disclaimer, right before, in between the Muppets and World of Color starting, I tapped out. I mean, I got so sick, nauseous.
He was on overload, too tired. I looked at him and I said, go sit.
So I walked out of the media room. Michele took my camera and my tripod, and she did it. So she was the trooper. She was able to keep going. I literally felt like I was going to be sick if I didn't pass out. So I had to go sit down. So I did get out of the whole group, went and found a bench, sat there, and I could hear it, but I really wasn't paying attention because I was done for the day.
Well, you know what though, too. It's a good thing that you left when you did, because we were so smashed in there, and then when the show actually started, people pushed even further. So
you guys had that extra 3 feet of circumference that I was taking up to.
Oh my gosh! I was like, get off of me! It was very people-y in there.
Well, poor Denise, she didn't even see anything because Denise is a little bit shorter, and she was at our row. She couldn't see anything because
that's the only thing I will say that Disneyland did differently than Walt Disney World. Usually, our media areas are big enough to fit everybody. Spread it out. This was not, and it continued throughout the week. But anyway, so after that, we were like, we were hobbling back to the room because we were in so much pain. Our feet, our legs, our back.
There was no way we were going to Disneyland.
No. Because we knew we had to we went to bed. I remember walking through downtown Disney, and I said to you, I have never so badly wanted to put my pajamas on and get in bed.
And we realized we had nothing in the room, so we had no water,
we had nothing.
So we had to buy a couple bottles of water to take back to the room so we can take our nighttime medicine and such. But we're walking back. We're both, I don't even think we were hungry at that point. We were so tired. And normally, when we go to bed, Michelle's checking her information. She's surfing X to see any news or her catching up on her daily stuff that she does. And I usually play games till I fall asleep. I think maybe it was like 6 to 7 minutes after we laid down, we were both gone.
I'm like, I can't. And also, fun fact. So the headboard has the castle and fireworks lit up on it. Not bright. Not like bright as a Christmas light, but
and there's a button to push the music.
Yes, and it'll play when you wish upon a star, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that's
but yeah, so that's pretty cool. But we were so tired, we didn't even enjoy it.
Even enjoy it.
I think I turned the music on, and it shuts off. It's only like maybe 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's not long whatsoever.
When you were in the bathroom, and by the time you got out, I was already in bed, jammies on, like ready
half asleep.
Oh my God, it was terrible. So the next morning, we had to get up, get something to eat. Or no, we didn't even eat. We had to go over because there's a newer restaurant at downtown Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God it was like right outside security. It wasn't far from our hotel.
Right.
So that's where they had the next media get together.
Yeah, so it's a little, I guess almost like a food court type restaurant.
Different kinds of food.
Yeah, different types of food. So they had the whole second floor reserved to us. And we were told going into this is not something you can record. This is not for photos. This is something for you guys. Yeah. This is they called it a brunch, media brunch mingle.
Yeah.
Just to kind of get things. But this is where Thomas, the president of Disneyland, was there again. And this time, after he got done talking to the group, and he just said, I want to meet everybody here.
And it was for Walt Disney World PR. It wasn't for anybody else.
None of the Disneyland people. He actually went around to as many people as he could and talked to them. And I'm not saying he walked up, hi, I'm Thomas, nice to meet you, blah, 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 on. He actually had conversations with people. We talked to him for about 15 minutes? Just the two of us.
Oh, yeah. And he was very, very nice. Like, I went up and, introduced myself or whatever, and he shook my hand for like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He had my hand in his hand, and he holds it. And then when he was talking to us, he kept he put his hand on my elbow, or he like would touch your arm. He was so, like I was saying before, he was so passionate about Disneyland. Now, he's worked in other parks.
Right. He actually worked at Walt Disney World for many years, he told us.
Yeah. So he's been around town. Mm-hmm. But he said Disneyland means the most, he feels, because it's Walt's park. Yep. And, so just so you guys know, I'm just going to throw this little bit of information. There's so much chatter about Disney forgetting Walt's legacy. Right. There's so much changes that people, think that Walt would not be okay with. And I agree to that to a point. But this man seems like, yes, he's all about progress, but he's also about not, changing what Walt's original goal was.
Right. I think the way he said it best, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, we can't move forward if we lose sight of the past.
Yes. So, like, Walt Disney World, we seem to be losing the past. But at Disneyland, they are all about preserving what Walt started because that was Walt's park.
And he even made mention of it that that's the park Walt walked through. He walked through no other park of all the Disney parks. That's the only one he's ever been into. So he felt it a lot of pressure also to make sure he preserves that legacy that park exists with. So we got to talk to him. So when we actually started talking to him about his statement about to all who come to this happy, and he said he went back and forth on saying that because
he was nervous. He didn't want to say something that Walt said.
Because he didn't want people to give him feedback about, oh, that's Walt's phrase, you're not allowed to say it. But that's not how it was taken. It was just taken as a reminder.
A reminder of what Walt said.
Exactly. So we talked to him about that. He told us, we brought up talking about the animatronic of Walt that's going to be opening on July 17th.
He said, wait till you see it. It's pretty fantastic.
And he even mentioned about how there was so much pressure to make sure that was perfect, that they could not have any glitches with this thing. It had to be 100% dead on Walt.
Well, because people are going to be critical of it regardless.
They're going to find something no matter what. They'll say his hair was the wrong color, or
didn't look like Walt.
Yeah, they will find something to complain about because people always find something to complain about. But it is what it is. But talking to him was fantastic. And then we got to meet, meet and see a friend
Mm-hmm.
Don Hahn, who you might know as a
Disney legend Don Hahn.
Disney legend, that's because he made the joke. Disney legend Don Hahn, who produced so many Beauty and the Beast and just so many different movies the man has been involved with. And then Christopher Merritt have wrote a book called The Happiest Place on Earth. And this book, and they told us we were going to be getting a copy of this book. And the book doesn't even come. It comes out on Amazon July 15th, so you can go and pre-order on Amazon. But we're like, okay, hopefully it's just a normal size book because we have to put. No, this book is humongous, probably weighs 7-8 pounds if I had to guess.
Huge. They gave us 2.
They gave us 2 of them.
And we're like, here we go, more for the carry-on.
They did autograph it, which was fantastic. It was so cool because we're waiting in line to get up there. Now, mind you, they're passing out food while we're waiting in line to meet the president and meet the 2 guys. They're passing out food. Well, Michele kept saying, no, I'll get the after. Well, there was no after. There was no after. So when we finally got up to Don and Christopher, Michele starts talking to Don. He goes, I know who you guys are. Because he has met us before, but
you never like to presume, especially when you meet somebody so high up in the company.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want to assume they know who you are. But then again, I don't care who I'm with. Even if I know people probably know who I am, I always say, hi, I'm Michele. Because I don't like that.
But he instantly made me feel comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. I've said, I don't know if you remember. He goes, I know you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were telling us about different never before seen tidbits in the book.
Yes.
So you guys are definitely going to go have to check that out when it's available.
Definitely. The book is fantastic. I've thumbed through it a little bit, and I can't wait to dive into it once I get all my editing and stuff.
And they said it took 5 years to put all that together.
It did, which is crazy. But they've got stuff in there they said more of the book is stuff you've never seen than stuff you have seen.
Yeah.
Which is going to be great to see. So we did that. We got to talk to them. And that ended about 12:30, but we already knew that we had the Celebrate Happy Cavalcade, which was going to be taking place at Disneyland.
We had to be there at 1.
We had to be there at 1 because they had roped off areas on Main Street for all the media. Well, this is the one thing that was frustrating because we got there, we had a great spot, and they're like, no, you have to move because there's cameras coming in here. Well, why didn't you tell us that? And then they started laying down placards for like TV broadcasts where we're standing there. They're putting, nope, they're going to be here with the camera. They're going to be here with the camera. It's like, come on, we were already here. Why didn't you tell us that before we got the spot? Because by the time they did that, there was no good spots left. But they, like 5 minutes before they took up all the placards.
Yeah, they're like, oh, no, they're not camera.
And we had lost a better spot.
We had lost our good spot.
Yeah, so we did. But anyway, so this little parade starts. And the highlight of this parade is that Duffy and Shelley May made their return to Disneyland.
And they were on these bike thingies.
Yes.
And it was so cool. And I didn't realize how much hype is still there for Duffy and Shelley May because I had a lot of people asking me or thinking it was really cool. But then you had some people who are like, who are the Bears?
Yeah, they didn't know because they weren't around long enough in the States.
Right.
Overseas, they were crazy.
Right. But a lot of people were excited for that. The cavalcade was really great. Very upbeat, colorful, the whole thing.
And
so
filled with that Jonas Brothers song.
And there's that Jonas Brothers song again, which it will be repeated multiple times.
Yes, it will become an earworm and it will not leave.
So we did the cavalcade, and then after that
we had a break.
We had a little bit of a break.
We had a break. We had a couple hours break, so we went. Of course, first thing break. Mansion.
We
headed right to the. Actually, I think we need something. Was that when we were? Yeah, we were kind of a little bit hungry at that point because you hadn't eaten during the whole thing.
Well, because I was in. You guys, when I'm in work mode, I don't worry about food.
And then when she's about to pass out, she's like, "Oh, maybe I should eat."
Yeah. So Scott was taking advantage of the food that was being passed around in the media brunch, and I was not. And then when it was over, I'm like, oh my God, all the food's gone. So anyway, so we went to one of the walk-ups and got something to eat.
Yeah, which we had never been for. So we went to the Red Rose Tavern, which is in Fantasyland.
Yeah.
Which we had never been to, but we've always seen it there, but I don't know if it was busy.
It's by the bathroom. We've always gone past there.
We've always gone past it. But we went in there. The food in there for a walk-up, I have to say, was some of the best walk-up food I've had. And Disneyland food's better already.
And they had tater tots.
But they had tater tots. Michele got this chicken BLT sandwich. It had to be the biggest sandwich I've ever seen in a Disney
on
park.
Like toast, and I got it minus bacon, of course. But I couldn't finish it.
You ate about half of it, and you said you were stuffed. And then I got a flatbread, which was better than any flatbreads we have here.
Disneyland food is better.
So much better. So we got that. Just tied it. I didn't even need the pizza. I don't know why I ordered it. I think I just
because you could.
There was pizza on the menu, and I had to order it. So we did that. Then we went and rode the mansion.
Yes. So the last time we were there in August, the queue area was still under construction.
Yes.
So we got to see the newly redone queue, which is very cool. It's got like there's spots where it's like a greenhouse. There's different statues, stained glass.
Lots to see.
And I was telling you that It makes your wait not feel so long because right now there's so much to see there. It wasn't bad at all, and I hate waiting in line, and it wasn't bad. But we couldn't wait to go do that because the last couple times we were in Disneyland, it was still the Nightmare overlay. Yeah. So by the time we got up there, now mind you, again, the last few times we've been there was Nightmare Before Christmas. So seeing it the regular way again, from the time we got in the stretching room, which actually is a real elevator,
it is.
You don't realize how much bigger their Haunted Mansion is than ours. Mm-hmm. I mean, the stretching room is huge. If it's very tall.
Very tall. You can tell the rooms are built differently. That they just wanted to make sure they showed what they're planning.
And you feel the elevator moving. It's not an effect like it is. And our ceiling is so much short compared to theirs.
You see Master Gracie hanging at the end
he's kind of glowing.
You can see him, where in ours you can barely see him.
Yeah, you can see it out there.
So I haven't uploaded yet, but I have the full video of the stretching room, down the hallway, boarding the Doom Buggy, and then the full ride.
Yeah. Okay, so when you're walking to the Doom Buggy area, they have this wispy looking background behind where the Doom Buggies are. And as you get in and you start to turn sideways, you can see just how big that wall is. Now, when I say every room is big, it's huge. The ceilings are high. Yes. Their mansion is so big compared to ours.
You kept saying that a lot. You really noticed it this time.
Really noticed it because you know why? So let's say, let's use the graveyard scene for an example. During the Nightmare overlay, there's those big angel things.
Right.
There's a big tree. So because they are so big, you don't see the ceiling.
No, and they're lit up, so it draws your attention to just them and not thinking beyond them, where when it's the normal mansion, while it's lit up, there's a lot of dark space for you to be able to look and say, oh my goodness, look how large this is. Look how big this is.
And everything there is lit up so you can see things better.
The best part, though, is the new bride.
The new bride that we hadn't seen yet. So, and I had read about it because I put out the information.
Right. It's been a few months, hasn't it?
Yeah. So one of the things, like the original bride for the Haunted Mansion, with the big draw was the heartbeat. And as soon as you turn from the ballroom to go into the attic, you hear the boom, 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 boom. And she is on not where ours is, just a little bit before that. And she's got like this floaty mist around her, and you see the heartbeat.
And she's looking right at you when you go past her.
Pretty cool. And then right past her, of course, is the Hatbox Ghost, who's in the best spot ever.
Yeah, so you get Constance, then you leave the attic, and Hatbox is greeting you before you go into the graveyard.
Yes, and it's because they still have the regular hallway there with the Donald Duck chair and the whole thing.
Yes.
And then the graveyard scene is they have the big scary trees. Their groundskeeper looks a little different. And he's lit up.
Him. Yeah, you can see him and his dog.
Yes, poor dog. I'm like, feed your dog. But everything is so lit up. And then when you get off the ride, little Leota is on next to an escalator. She's not.
She's not in the ride
when you're off your Doom Buggy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it, and I will always say it until you're sick of me saying it. Their mansion is the best mansion. It's better than ours, hands down.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100% on that. One of the parts I really love is in the attic space. You actually see the organist.
Yeah, and it looks like
our piano player, who in our mansion he's down before you go down the long hallway. He's in the attic scene, and you see him playing the piano, and you hear him playing the piano along with the heartbeat the whole time.
So flipping cool.
So cool. But we can go on all day about that mansion.
We could talk 2 hours about the mansion.
The thing we were both looking forward to seeing, though, is the new mansion store that's right outside the exit.
Right outside, and that's pretty cool also. The only thing I don't like, and it's from a touristy perspective, is I wish, like even at Memento Mori here, I wish they had Haunted Mansion merch specifically for that park. Like, yes. Haunted Mansion is Haunted Mansion regardless, but it would be cool if they had like something that said Disneyland or Walt Disney World.
With the silhouette of that mansion.
Yeah, I mean, or anything that says what park you got it from.
Right. Haunted Mansion, Disneyland.
Yeah, but they don't have that. It was all the same merch we have here.
And it was kind of cut right down the middle. So half the store was Nightmare Before Christmas. The other half was Mansion.
Just like their old store was.
But if you're in there, look up at the ceiling. because there is so much going on in the ceiling of that building. And it's fantastic. And right before you walk out the store, there's a big picture of Leota.
Yeah. The real Leota.
The real
Leota
Leota.
Tombs.
The real Leota Tombs, the Imagineer.
Yeah, there's like a painting of her kind of looking like a gypsy woman type of thing, fortune teller, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Yeah, so that was like as far as must-dos. We knew we had work to do, but I asked Scott, what is your must-do of this trip? And we both said Haunted Mansion. So
yeah,
we wanted to get that done first.
We had to, because that's what we had. That was the one thing we were both looking forward to, because, as Michele said, we had not seen the
regular version in a couple of years.
In a long time. So it was great to go back and see all that. We actually didn't ride. I don't think we rode anything else except the mansion during opening hours.
We didn't. It was crazy busy there.
It was so busy, but it was fun. So we ended up just walking around the park, I think, for a while. We strolled through the different stores to see the 70th merchandise that was out, to see if there was something we missed.
Because we knew we had another event coming up.
We did. And there was signs all over it. Now, as Michele said, the park was crazy busy.
It was.
It really was. But we knew at, I think it was
5
o'clock. Was it 5 or was it? I'm trying to look it up here.
Or was it
started at 6:30.
Okay.
But at 4 o'clock, there were signs all over. Fantasyland would be shutting down at
4
o'clock for a private event. And the private event was the media party that was going on in Fantasyland that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And so we killed time till then. And then we got in line, and that's when we really realized how much media was there, because that line wrapped around and down around the Matterhorn and everything. But when we got in there, it was the greatest thing they had. So they brought us up right through the castle.
Yes.
End of the party. So you walk across the drawbridge, you walk through the castle, and then you're in the back of Fantasyland, and there's a DJ playing, and there's characters everywhere.
There's tables of food. There's bars.
Everything. It was just so much fun. But something that I never experienced in any kind of a party is the rides were still operating back there.
Yeah. So like the park was so crowded, like it was like hour waits for most things. But being that they had Fantasyland closed for the media party, like Mr. Toad's and Snow White and Pinocchio and Alice and all those things were walk on.
Yes.
Now, I was telling Scott that, a lot of people, most people, not everybody covers like we do.
No.
We're drinking and dancing, whatever else.
They were enjoying the party for it being just a party. Yeah.
And we ate, and we're like, we are going on these rides so we can get video of them while no one else is on. I mean, when are you ever going to have Fantasyland to yourself to where you can walk on the rides? I felt like a child. We were walking in
ride to ride,
and just getting right on. Mm-hmm. And I was giddy like I was 7.
So we went and rode Alice. Well, actually, first we met the Hatter.
The Hatter. I have video of that, by the way. I have to post.
So he was sitting in a teacup, and he was excellent.
Yeah.
We did that. Then we went and rode Alice's ride, because we both really like Alice's ride. It's a fun little ride.
Because it's half inside, half outside. It's kind of cool.
Then we go on Mr. Toad's, walk right on. We go on Peter Pan, walk right on. We go on Snow White, walk right on. Then we went on Pinocchio, walk right on.
Crazy.
It was just so crazy. Then we saw Captain Hook and Mr. Shmee.
And it was a very good hook, by the way.
Oh my God, he scared you.
Well, he kept getting up in my face.
He did. So he was all up in your face.
He was all up in my business.
He was. He was there. There was, like Michele said, there was food all around the area.
I didn't eat much food.
You didn't eat much food.
I was just so excited to be there.
And I didn't eat a lot. I ate more because it was a lot of little finger food type things, or little mini slider burgers, or
you ate more than I did.
Frito nachos, whatever, chili pie, I think they called it.
I didn't even have dessert. Now, you guys know if I don't take dessert, I'm distracted.
I had some dessert. You did.
I didn't even do that because I was just in awe of being there. And I'm going to sidebar real quick. One thing that I firmly believe in my heart is there's different types of people that get to do this job. And some people really appreciate, and I think from our perspective, we don't take it for granted. And, it is great to see people dancing and partying and whatever, but then there's us that are still like, oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah.
I looked at Scott and I'm like, I still can't believe after all these years that this is what we get to do. And the Walt Disney Company thinks enough of us to be even back here. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, I think there's almost 3 types of people. So there's the ones that they're there to have fun. They do this for fun, and to them it's just a great time. There's the ones who this is their job. They do it, and it's a job.
Yes.
That's all it is. And then there's the true Disney fans, which is what most of our colleagues that we know really well are, that love what they do. They enjoy sharing it with other people, and they get as excited about it. Like you said, they become a 7-year-old when they get put in those situations.
I think we're the biggest kids out of the group, like
Probably.
when it comes to, because like I don't know how many times I cried this past week.
Oh my gosh, you cried a lot.
I did, because it's just, all I can say is God is good. And, we get to do some pretty cool things. And being out there for the 70th anniversary and being in Walt's Park, it is something that I will never forget in my entire life.
No, I can flat out say that night, that Wednesday night and that party and such, and then the events that followed that party, which we haven't got to yet, was probably the best media thing I have ever gotten to do since we started doing this.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what's next.
So what's next? So next, they told us that they're going to be leading us to
viewing
It's a Small
area.
World viewing area, because we were going to get to see Tapestry of Happiness, which is a projection show that's done on the It's a Small World facade.
Yes.
And so they took us to our media area, and we got over there, and again, we got moved because of cameras.
I'm like, nobody follow me, because it happens to me every time.
Michelle kind of went with our friend Jeff and a few other of our friends to one side, and me, Lou, Becky, we kind of went the other way. We went
I
kind of
stayed
elevated.
put.
Yeah, you were kind of more ground level, where we kind of went up
Up
about
a
4 or 5
level.
steps. To be able to see it from a different angle. So we have 2 different, so I got a different video than you did of that. But this little show, and it's not that long of a show.
Just projection show.
But it goes through the 70-year history of Disneyland. And so, as Michelle was saying, it's like we're watching it through a lens. We don't really get to enjoy it because we're too busy making sure we get the right video, because these are one shot and done for us.
Yeah.
We don't get to, if we don't get it, we'll come back tomorrow or come back afterwards.
Being that we aren't Disneyland locals, this is like, you have to get it right.
You have to get it. Our work, sadly, as much as I want to sit there and share the shows and be by you watching it all,
We couldn't.
it's work. And we have to make sure we get the coverage we need, because, as I said, we're not going to be there yesterday, on Friday, actually, when it debuted, to be able to see it.
We always
again.
have to divide and conquer.
Always
You go there, I'll go here.
And that's what, after we got done with it, I said, did you see this part? Did you see that part? And she's like, no, I missed that part. And the one highlight for me in the Tapestry, and you can see the video, we do have it out, the Sherman brothers are represented in the video at one point.
Yes, they're like cartoon characters almost.
They're such a big part of Disneyland, and the music and everything that goes with it. And they're the I've heard a lot of people say they're like the music catalog of our childhood.
Oh, for sure.
Because they wrote so much of the Disney music. So seeing them was great. Seeing all the history, you see Pirates on there. You see the Hatbox Ghost on there. You see all this fun stuff. So it's definitely a video you want to check out. And if you get to go out there and see it, make sure you see it. It may think, it's just a projection show. Well worth the time to stop.
But wait, there's more, because about 5-10 minutes after that, what happened?
You start to hear music. And the music, if you've ever seen Main Street Electrical Parade, that music is identifiable.
Yes, it is.
But it's something even bigger than Main Street Electrical Parade. So we finally, after 10 years of this parade being in existence, we finally got to see
the revival of Paint the Night.
I was trying to think of a word to say, but yeah, the revival and the new version of Paint the Night, because it's added a few things here and there. Wow.
It is probably the best parade I've seen. And I've seen plenty of parades.
You did. And before that, that's what I was going to ask you. So before that, your favorite parade ever from Walt Disney World was which parade? What was the parade that you always tell me was the best one ever?
Well, when I was younger, Spectral Magic.
Right.
Do
you think Main Street replaced Spectro for you?
Spectral Magic and Main Street Electrical Parade were so different, so they both had a special meaning to me.
But now where does Paint the Night fit into those?
I love Paint the Night. I'm sorry. It just was so good and mesmerizing with the lights.
It wouldn't have anything to do with a special section that's included in there of a character that you absolutely love.
Actually, no.
Okay.
All right, so they do again. They love Tangled out there. Just saying. So Rapunzel has her own float, which come on, Walt Disney World. So,
and actually, we've seen her in other parades out there where they actually have the tower in the parade. They have different things for her.
She gets her props out there. I don't get it. So, I could go on a whole rant about that, but I won't. But Paint the Night is definitely a must see. If you can get out there to see Paint the Night, it is worth it to go.
It is definitely. Where the only thing I had ever really known about it before was Mac, because Mac from Cars, has always been like this. You always see the pictures of how big Mac is, and he's part of this parade. But I had no idea
how big,
how big he is, and then how big some of the other floats are that are in this parade.
And Mickey's float is at the end, and
so cool.
There's like this twisting lights behind him, and all I can say, I watch our video, but even if you watch the video, it will not do it justice.
No.
So if you can get out for the 70th to see Paint the Night, I highly, highly, highly recommend it, because honestly, the whole trip of things we had to cover, that was my favorite.
The parade is actually mesmerizing. I mean, you just honestly,
so good.
You can't look away. I don't think you could be in a bad spot to see it, because as long as you have a somewhat of a view to the parade route, you're going to see everything, because it is so big.
And the parade kicks off with Tinkerbell and an armature to make it look like she's flying.
Which is really cool. And then you get the big drum that Peter
Pan is on. All right, anyway, so it's fantastic. So when that was over, so they made an announcement, and they told the media, oh God, they're like, okay, so.
They should have not said this out loud.
And they said it out loud, by the way. So they made an announcement. They said, follow Mickey's float to the castle. Mm-hmm. So we, as soon as
follow the blue lights.
Yes, there was going to be a cast member with blue lights. They said, follow Mickey's float. Mm-hmm. Keep going. So as soon as they pulled down the ropes, it was a mad dash.
It was.
So all the media, now mind you, I had a crappy spot for most things. And I was, going to make sure I did not for the castle.
And you were with our friend Jeff, Jeff is probably the best at getting video. He figures out the best spots. He
always gets the spot. So
always.
I looked at Jeff, and I'm like, I am going to be on your heels.
Right.
Because Jeff's like, follow me. So we dodged and weaved in and out. And I'm poor Jeff. I'm like, this is stressful, because it was pushing, and we're following Mickey, and it was the longest walk to the castle ever.
It is a long, because we're following a parade that's moving at parade speed.
Oh my gosh. And everybody's stepping on people. I got hit with a stroller or a wheelchair. I didn't care. I'm like, just get me there. So
Michelle's broken leg, and she's just dragging it. I'm not stopping.
So finally, I see the blue light, and they wave us in. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, regular people who are not without credentials were trying to get in that spot. So they started yelling credentials up in the air.
Yep.
To let you.
Because they were not letting you in.
No. So here I am, like the Statue of Liberty with my torch, with my.
You were like Wayne and Garth in Wayne's World 2, showing it everywhere.
I put my credential up in the air, and I hauled to the front of the castle. Now I got to front and center, right next to Jeff. The best spot in the house.
Honestly, so Michelle, we were separated. So I text Michelle, I'm like, okay, where are you? Or no, you text me first. You go, I am front and center of the castle. I'm like, okay, but where? Because front and center, I never expect to be the front row.
No, and I keep telling, I'm like front and center, but where finally I send him a picture, and I'm like I said, front and center. And he's like, oh my God.
And I think I replied, holy.
Yeah.
Because she honestly she could not have been any closer or any more centered to the castle shot.
Right in front of it. And trust me, there were some people trying to get me out of that spot, pushing and shoving, and I would be damn.
And I was roughly 6 people back from her, which was. It wasn't like it was 6 people. It was like dozens of people between us, but about 6 rows back. And I had a good
right
spot
at the
too.
rope.
But you had the best one, because you didn't have to worry about a camera in your shot. You didn't have to worry about a person. You didn't have to worry about somebody grabbing a kid, putting them on their shoulders in front of your shot.
It was a non-obstructed view. So if you watch our video of the fireworks show, that was my spot. Mm-hmm. It looks like almost, I don't want to, not like a professional thing, but to the point where there's nothing in the way.
Right.
There's nothing in the way.
And the show is called Wondrous Journeys.
Yes.
It's a great show, honestly. It's a really great fireworks show.
Yes. And I just like, look at me. I'm still smiling.
I know, because I don't think we have a video that good of Happily Ever After.
Probably not. Because
And now I want to get one. Now I want to get to Disney. But to be that close to the castle at Walt Disney World, you won't get that good of a
you
video.
won't get it because there's too much. It's bigger. It's a bigger spot. Now you got to remember, Sleeping Beauty Castle is much smaller.
Much smaller.
So, yeah, like I had my feet firmly planted, like I was not moving.
Now I have to talk a little bit about their fireworks show. That two things I really was shocked at how they do it. So there's at one point the blue fairy raises up on the side of the castle.
She does, yeah.
And it's it's an actual person.
Yes.
It's not just like a projection. It's not anything else. It's an actual person that rises up as the blue fairy up in the distance.
Yes.
Which is fantastic. And then a few minutes later, Baymax flies around the castle.
So we have Tinkerbell go from one spot to the other. Baymax flies around it.
He does. You see him on the one side, he flies the other side, then
and you see like
back.
the smoke coming out of like the
His
back
jetpack.
of him. Yeah.
Very cool the way they do all that.
And it's so funny because I was just like on a high after that because
oh yeah, you were full of energy. You had drank that coffee shortly before we went in.
Now, mind you, before the event, I had a cold brew, and I needed it because
you did. You were crashing.
My everything hurt. I was on a high, and when the fireworks show was over, I was in tears. And I went looking for Scott, and he had tears too, and he just gave me a big hug, and he said, "Thank you for all this." Because we worked really hard.
It's taken us a lot of years, and I'm getting choked up now, to be recognized. Walt Disney World is fantastic. I'm not taking anything away. I love our media people. I love how much they've given us here. But to be recognized by Disneyland, to be brought out there to cover such a momentous thing for this company, this biggest entertainment company in the absolute world, the amount of people that do what we do that would love to be included in this stuff and to be invited to it. And it's so humbling. And it makes me every day thankful that we did things the way we did it. And we never went out there saying we're the best. We never went out there saying that we're better than anybody else.
No.
We went out there with a humble attitude of we're going to do it the best we can.
And hopefully people will
you
like
enjoy
what
it.
We do. And,
And that's everybody who's listening to this right now. It's because of every one of you who clicked on our video, every one of you who've read our blogs. That's the reason we get to do these things.
Yes. And, and it's funny because I started to think back of when, if you guys read my book, then I got laid off from my job and Scott was still working. And I put in probably 12-hour days.
At least.
Building our social media. Not getting paid a dime, but I think of those days and I remember there was some times that I'm like, why am I doing all this work? It was like 2 years, longer than that, of just every day keeping at it, building that community. And now I look back and it's like, okay, it was all worth it. But at the time I didn't know if it was going to be. I mean, while you were at work, I would be, now mind you, I was also a stay-at-home mom at the time, juggling all those things.
But we didn't have much money because we were only one income.
Right. So this was my hobby and it turned into something more and more. And
we had never thought we would move to Florida. That we talked about it.
I dreamt about it for 20 plus years.
But we never said we were going to do it because my job, we couldn't just leave my job.
No. So it's so funny. And I don't mean it to be like cliche, but sometimes you can have all the plans in the world of how you think your life is going to be. But sometimes God has other plans and you just kind of have to trust the process because when I was standing there, I'm like, how many times do I say to you when we cover these events, how did I get here? Like, how did this happen? And I'm going to say one thing about us. I don't see other people like move to tears because of the things that they get to do with us. I think the gratitude runs so deep because we work so hard for so little for so long.
Yeah.
And it was,
and we're still not breaking the records with the banks or anything
like
that.
God,
We're
no.
still,
if you guys knew
still
how
a
much
labor
we struggle
of love.
still.
It's still such a big labor of love.
We wouldn't have Lost Princess Apparel if we didn't have to.
Exactly.
But, it's still a labor of love. We're not rolling in the dough. But as far as gratitude, it's there. And as far as, like you said, being absolutely humbled to be there and invited by the Walt Disney Company. I mean, I feel that way every time we do a cruise event. Anytime we do an event here, out there just felt so special because it was the 70th anniversary, and to be standing there in front of Walt's castle, I turned into a puddle when it was over. Like when I finally shut off the camera and really could take in everything. And it's
because work stopped.
Because work stopped, and I could appreciate, okay, look where I'm at. Look what I just did. And yeah, it's just amazing. I don't know, you guys. All I can say is, and I was thinking about this, everybody has like dreams and things that you want to attain. And I think because of everything that has happened, from the time of sitting home for hours on end building a community to being in front of the castle at Disneyland, you know, I could never tell somebody else that your dream is stupid. I could never tell somebody else that, oh, don't waste your time doing this or that, because, you know, you just never know what can happen, but you have to at least try.
Yeah, something I heard last night, and we'll get into that in a little bit, but if you can truly dream it, it can happen.
It can.
And you just have to follow your dreams. Don't give up your entire livelihood to follow your dream. Don't make the mistakes of just letting everything go.
Yeah, don't do that.
But at it, if you really want it, work towards it. Find out ways to do. Spend an hour a day working towards it. Spend 2 hours a day. Don't just say, it's too much work, I'm not going to do it, or it'll never work, because you don't know. You never know what's going to work.
But you know what is about that is, okay, let's talk real for a second.
Let's get real.
Let's get real. Not every dream is necessarily quote unquote attainable. All right. But I can say from experience, you have to at least try, because you don't want to live in regret of what if.
That's the big regret is worse than not trying.
Yes. And I mean, example. I want my own talk show. I want to be the next Oprah. I want to be Wendy Williams. She's more my speed.
Oh Lord, you want to be the gossiper?
I want to be the gossipy like Wendy Williams. But am I going to be? Probably not.
However, you have hosted live events in front of crowds.
I have.
On a stage where you perform, where you actually had to entertain these people with what you're talking about. So in a way, not necessarily the talk show you
Wendy
think on
Williams,
TV,
y'all.
but you have, and you and John used to talk all the time about tea time, the gossip part of it.
Yes.
And you've done it with some amazing people on stage with you to be your
co-host. Oh my God,
co-host
the Hocus Pocus panel was a dream come true for me.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, my whole point is that, or let's say I want to be the next Britney Spears. Okay, that's not happening. But what I'm saying is, you know, it depends on what you're trying to go for, and if it's within your grasp. But I also don't believe in lowering expectations either, but you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket if it's going to be hurtful to you in the long run.
Right.
Like you said, you can't throw away
everything you have for that dream until you can see that dream is attainable, could happen, or is,
or even do part of what it is, you know, like you could have, it could be anything. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know, it's better to try than to live in regret. And if somebody would have told me all those years ago, all this thankless work that you're doing for free is going to pay off, keep at it, I'd be like, I don't know.
I think what's the craziest part of the whole thing, though, is if you go back, how many times have our dreams changed over the years because we hit one of them, and then we have to add a new dream? Because when you stop dreaming, you stop living.
Right. And look at how many, I will say that one quote that gets me is sometimes the best thing you can have are unanswered prayers. And it's because sometimes you're praying for something so badly and you don't get it. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, like, you know, for example, there was this house that we really, really wanted before we hit it with the Main Street Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good price. It was in a great area. We prayed so hard to get that house and we didn't get it. Well, you want to know why? Because we weren't staying there.
No, we would have loved that. It would have been hard to walk away from that house.
Yes. And at the time, or different things that, you know, I'd be like, I don't understand.
When I lost my job.
When you lost your job. When I lost my job. But sometimes bad things have to happen to fall into place. And we might not see it at the time because let me tell you, Scott and I went through some very hard times. I went through a lot with my health back in Michigan. I mean, surgery after surgery for different things. You know, my dad would tell me I had a big storm cloud over my head. It's like, is it ever going to clear?
And now he tells you your star is rising.
Now my dad always says my star is still rising. So I don't know about that. I hope he's right. But at the time, the struggle was so hard. And there's been a lot of really unfortunate things that have happened in our lives. But on the flip side of that, there's also been a lot of blessings too. So I just feel like, you know, anybody who's listening can learn from our story that, you know, perseverance is important, faith is important, and just stay humble.
That is the biggest thing, because I think when you're not humble, you will never.
Life will humble you.
It will humble you to where you have to.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I think you can't go into everything saying I'm going to be the best. I'm better than this.
I deserve this.
I deserve.
No.
Nobody deserves anything. I'll be the first one to tell you that. Nobody deserves anything, especially if you haven't worked hard for it.
Right. So.
And because there's other powers that be, you really sometimes can't control your fate.
No, because, you know, there's so many people that want to do these type of jobs and can't. And do I think I'll do this till my dying breath? I don't think so.
I thought about that yesterday. I was like, so we celebrate the 70th.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if they're doing this for the 70th, what are they going to do for the 100th? And then I'm like, I'll be really old.
Don't you say
I stopped it. But I'll be really old and we'll
be of retirement age.
We will have sold the Main Street Mouse or closed it by then, I would think.
But who knows? Because you know I'm obsessive and I can't let anybody else.
I know.
Business.
So you think our bodies hurt this past week? Imagine 30 years from now what our bodies are going to feel like.
I don't care. They'll be like, "Are you ready to sell yet?" No.
But we'll probably 30 years, and I'm dreaming like they always do in the future. We'll have floating shoes. We won't have to walk. We'll float from space to space.
You know what? They'll have the best medicine
easy.
where my feet won't hurt so bad.
Maybe we'll finally have those flying cars they talk about. We'll have all that stuff that we were told.
There might be better opportunities.
Might be. But I thought about that. I thought when we get to the 100th of Disneyland, will we be there? Will we get to see it? And it's like, I hope to see it.
I hope to see it too.
Do I think we'll be invited media? I don't think we'll be. I don't think we'll still be doing this in 30 years. But who knows?
Who knows?
You don't
because
know.
You know me, I'm a control freak. I might still be at the helm of all this.
I don't think you could sell. I think we would have to shut it down. I don't think you could ever sell the Main Street Mouse and let somebody else run it.
No, it's been 15 years this year. We just had our 15-year anniversary while we were in Disneyland.
While we were there, yeah.
Coincidentally, and again, we're so grateful to all of you. And I know we've been rambling, so we will move on to the next.
And we told you guys it was going to be a longer show. And we're not even really that far over.
Not yet?
No, we're only 11 minutes past the hour.
Well, let's keep going.
Okay. So Wonders Journeys, the Nighttime Spectacular, after that ended, the night was over. Disneyland was closing at 10. And this was our last night in the parks, sadly. For this trip. We knew that we had to leave before nighttime even hit on Thursday.
So we had to be ready back at the hotel by 7 the next night.
Now, here's the problem. So we're leaving Disneyland, and we're like, and I told Michele, I said, if there's anything you want to buy, we need to buy it tonight because we need to pack the bags because we're not going to be able to go back to our room because we have to check out at 11, and we're not leaving for the airport till 7 o'clock that night. So we're going to have to put our bags in the Bellman to hold them there till we leave. So I told her, it'd be easier if you shot tonight so I can pack it, so I have all our packing done, so we don't have to worry about it.
And I was being super cheap.
Being super cheap. But we went to World of Disney, and we walked around there, and place was a madhouse.
And everything was so picked over.
There was hardly any sizes of anything. The only thing I had wanted, and my birthday was a few weeks ago, as everybody knows, because you've let everybody know. I had saved my gifts so that I could use them in Disneyland because I knew we were going to be out there, and I knew I wanted a 70th anniversary sports baseball jersey.
Right, because my mom sent him money. I got him a gift card, and I'm like, use your birthday money. Like he's a kid. Use your birthday money and get what you want.
I didn't spend it anywhere else. I didn't buy candy and all this fun stuff. I saved it and bought me the jersey.
Bought himself a jersey.
So we got that. So we get back to the room then, and after we left there, and much the same problem we have here, after a certain time, everything shuts down.
There's nothing to eat.
And we were starving because, again, Michele didn't eat at the party.
I always forget to eat.
She was hungry. And so it's about 11 o'clock now. By the time we're walking out of downtown Disney, Everything is closed or closing.
Yeah, there's no food.
There's no food anywhere. I check really quick to see what's at the hotel. All their places closed at either 10 or 11. Their 2 walk-up areas. Trader Sam's had nothing on the menu she was even interested in that she would eat because of what she does and doesn't eat.
And I didn't want to walk down there anyway. My feet were like, don't you dare get up.
So we get back to the room, and I grab the room service menu. And I'm like, hey, Michele, the room service says they're open till 11:55. And she's like, oh, what do they have? So she ended up getting a grilled cheese kids meal.
I got a grilled cheese kids meal.
And by the time it got to us, it was like 11:30 or so.
And I didn't even eat the whole thing. I just needed something in my stomach.
I got the kids' cheeseburger menu meals.
Kids' meals, y'all.
They were actually filling.
They were.
Huge.
And I didn't even finish it.
And the price was good.
The price was good. So the next day, we knew we had to check out. And Scott had the task of fitting a whole bunch of crap into little carry-ons.
Suitcases.
The same suitcases. And I had a backpack, and so did he, because we had to bring all our equipment and everything with us. And I went and I took a shower. And when I got in the shower, there was all the swag Disney gave us is on the bed. Now,
plus all our clothes, plus all our tech gear, plus everything we brought with us.
And now, mind you, they gave us ears, they gave us books, they gave us stuffed animals.
Flushes, yeah.
Everything.
Water bottles that are huge metal.
Bottles. Don't forget the bowling pins.
Bowling pins. 2 bowling pins.
So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go take a quick shower. And I think sometimes you like to surprise me, because when I got out, the bed was clear, and I said, where is everything? And you're like, it's in the carry-ons. I'm like, how did you do that?
And not only did I get it in the carry-ons, but I actually closed up the extensions on the carry-ons to make them even smaller once I put everything in it. The only thing was the handle on your suitcase would not pull out because it was stuck. So I had to reopen her backpack because there was just something blocking it. And I messed around with it enough. I finally got it to work.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I told him he could have a service for packing, because I don't know how he did it. It's like clown car type of stuff. I mean, but he did, which is a good thing.
And it's crazy. So Disney ended up giving us 4 of their big tote bags with our swag.
4 plushes.
4 of those, 4 plushes, 2 of those big
books.
water bottles, 2 of those 800-pound books. The Disneyland keys, which is a toy they're selling this year.
Oh, yeah, let's go talk about that.
Absolutely huge. And the way this thing works, so it looks like a big key, and it's got the castle at the area. So beginning on Friday, you plug this into different keyholes around the park and turn it, and a light goes on. And once you get all the lights, the key opens, and there's a special pin.
There's a pin inside.
For you to have. Well, we weren't going to be able to use it because we weren't going to be there for the start of but they gave us 2 of these. Now, these are plastic toys that I wanted to make sure.
Did you see how expensive they are?
I did not look.
I think they're like $60 or $70.
Holy cow. So if we go back, we're taking it with us.
We're going to take it with us.
But it was just all this big stuff that I had to try to fit. Now, Michele did pack lightly, which usually you don't. Usually you take 3 extra outfits based on our normal
everything
vacation.
But the kitchen sink type of thing. And this time I did not.
This time you did not. But then we had everything we went with was going back with us, plus everything we got.
So he did a good job. And we knew we had, we wanted to check out, took our bags over to the Bell Services because we wanted to go into the parks while we could.
And I didn't even take my tech bag with me, my usual sling bag. I didn't want to carry anything because I was just done. Carry our battery chargers, take photos and stuff, but that was really it.
So, yeah.
But so we walked around the parks. We went and got beignets.
We did finally get the beignets. And okay, here's the thing. Let's talk about beignets first.
Another sidebar.
Now, we've been going to Disneyland for I don't know how long. And, since 2017.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, the past 2 times we've gone, the beignet area over by the Mint Julep Bar is insane. The mobile...
You used to be able to just walk right up.
Oh, my gosh. You could walk up, get beignets, easy peasy. Not anymore. There's people there's like a huge crowd around the Mint Julep Bar. People that did mobile orders. We didn't do mobile order. We stood in line, which was good because when you looked at the app for a mobile order, it was a half hour away. We stood in line, 10 minutes?
10 minutes or roughly. It went fast, but what's funny is there's people in line who did mobile order that we got through the line, got our food, and got out before they got their food.
Right.
And they were standing there waiting for their pickup. So it was kind of crazy how fast that went.
So that was the other thing on my list besides Haunted Mansion was I needed to have beignets. So that's what we had for breakfast.
And you tried the regular ones, and I tried the pineapple flavored, the seasonal flavored.
Yeah, so what they do is they just put a different flavored powdered sugar, and it was pineapple.
So good.
And so we did that. We went to the mansion again.
did, because we were right there. And it was a little bit longer of a wait, but again, worth the wait.
Worth the wait. And so here's the thing. Now, when we were here in Florida, we're like, we're going to, get this done, that done. We wanted to stay as late as we could before we go to the airport. Now, mind you, we didn't factor in how much work we were going to have to do.
Pure exhaustion.
And that cement out there that is like a convention floor. My feet and legs hurt so bad. I was so tired by mid-afternoon. I was kind of like, I almost wish we took an earlier flight because I was tapped out.
Yeah, I was, sadly, I hate to say it, but if I knew I had to leave, I was ready to go. If I knew I could stay another day, I probably would have lasted. But knowing that because you had that impending lift ride to the airport, having to deal with TSA and get on the plane and fly home and all that stuff, and it was just like all that was in the back of my mind. It was hard to really enjoy thinking 4 hours, 3 hours, 2. You start to count down how long you have left before you got to do all that.
No, and I think I was just in so much pain from having to stand and do all, get recordings here and there and walk around. But we went back into, like I said, beignets, Haunted Mansion. We were lucky to ride all of Fantasyland when it was closed.
We rode the monorail.
We finally rode the monorail, which we hadn't done before, which is very different than ours.
Very different.
Windows that go down. And then you wanted to run back over to California Adventure, which is right across the way from Disneyland Park. I love that part.
I just wanted to go through Avengers Campus one more time.
You were kind of disappointed with Avengers Campus.
The merchandise, they had nothing different. And it's like, I don't understand why they don't come out with new merchandise more often.
They have a whole land back there. And Marvel is like such a thing. And they, in my opinion, they could do more with Avengers Campus, and they are going to be putting new rides.
Right.
And then we went over to Pixar Pier, and we had lunch at the Italian place
the
where
Boardwalk.
I had the spaghetti. You had pizza.
I think it's Boardwalk
salad.
Pizza and Pasta. Is that what it's called, or something like that? It's in the back corner, kind of over there.
And then we walked around a little bit more, took more Advil. And
took more Advil. Then took a couple more Advil, and it wasn't working.
And we fizzled out, you guys. We just were so tapped out. It wasn't even like my legs hurt, my feet hurt.
Yeah.
I was exhausted.
We did go back to Disneyland. Did one more loop.
Yes.
Just because we didn't know when our next trip going to be out there, so we always want to take one more look around.
Right, and then we started heading back, and we actually went back to the hotel in plenty of time, and we sat on the comfy couch in the lobby because we were exhausted. And then you called for our lift. They finally came. It was a beautiful ride back. We had the best lift ever, the cleanest car. He played nice music. It smelled nice in there. It's like very fancy.
This guy knew exactly. Younger kid. It was a Jeep Cherokee, really nice leather upholstery, smelled great when you got in the car. That, like she said, I looked at it was like a coffee and jazz music station on like Sirius or whatever is what he was playing. And it was just so relaxing.
I didn't want to get out of the car. He's like, do you mind if I stop real quick to get a little gas? I'm thinking, stop all you want. I mean, I didn't want to get out because then when we got to the Delta terminal, then of course it's go, go, go.
TSA was a mess.
TSA was a hot mess. And by the time we got to our gate, there's expensive airport food, which is nothing great. I ended up getting Starbucks because a breakfast sandwich because you ever get overtired to where you're hungry but you feel sick at the same time? I had a breakfast sandwich.
I know. I got a club sandwich out of the counter at the gift shop at the airport because none of the restaurants that were in the wing where we were at the terminal we were at.
Oh my gosh, $20 for a sandwich. Yeah. Or like, remember we walked past a couple different food places and it was like $20 for a sandwich, $20 for a burger. So I just got me a $7 breakfast sandwich. And then by the time we actually sat down, we were like just exhausted. I just wanted to go home. I don't even know, like, I was so tired I cried at one point.
You did.
I was on mental and physical exhaustion to where I'm like, I just need to go home. I'm like, I want to see my kid. I want to see my dogs.
Right.
So, I just was exhausted.
And then, not to mention, our plane was late leaving because it was originally like an hour and a half late. It was going to be late getting to LAX.
Yeah.
So we didn't board our plane till almost an hour after we were supposed to be boarding it.
Yeah, it was like the ride home, and then I couldn't sleep on the plane. I just can't. I nodded a couple of times, and then by the time we got off the plane and home, I got to the couch and bam.
Oh my gosh, we both
out.
passed out. And we never fall asleep right away. Neither one of us.
No, never. And I just sat on the couch, and then Aiden had got up a little bit later because I felt something wet on my arm. It was Ava's nose because she climbed up the couch to say hi. I was so tired. I don't even remember much of that.
I don't even remember hearing him moving around the house or anything like that. And it was just our bodies had hit that point of physical complete exhaustion.
It's not as easy as it used to be either. I mean, as you get older, things get harder. And in my head, I still feel 20. But when we have to do things like this, I realize, girl, you're not 20.
Yeah. So one thing I will say, next time we have an event like this, we're going to figure out how to add an extra day.
It was, even our Disney rep said it was too much to cram into that because it was just go, go, go. And the fact that some people like us flew in that morning and had to get to work right away, it was exhausting.
And I was looking at some of the people who I know who are a little bit younger than us. And I'm looking at like Tim, our friend Tim, he was doing really good. And it's like, but he's got young ones at home, so he's chasing after them. Yeah, so Tim is active. Yeah. But I was looking at him. I'm like, wow, I can't do it anymore. But maybe 10 years ago.
He would also pull over and take a break and do his videos and stuff. Like we were just like, I think you and I had the best intention because we knew we were there for such a short period of time because we had to get back because we had more events.
Right.
So we wanted to cram in as much as we could, which ended up being hard on us.
It did. It punished us. And all weekend we've kind of been dragging.
I still feel like garbage. And, but duty calls, we got to go back to work tomorrow.
But you know what? I have to say, even though it was only 60 hours, I think we enjoyed all 60 hours.
Yeah, pain and all. It was worth the experience. And, I just want to conclude that if you guys can get out to Disneyland 70th, go.
And if you've never been,
just go.
If you've never been and say you can't make it this year for the 70th, make sure you try to get out there. Because if you're a Walt Disney World fan, and you can be, there's something so different about Disneyland, and nobody understands it until you've actually been out there.
Because I didn't get it until I went.
Nobody does, and I can't tell you how many people have told me that once they do it, they're like, I get it now, because nobody does. And if you're a true Disney fan, you have to visit Walt's Park.
Absolutely, and and thank you guys for following on all our coverage, and we have more stuff coming out, but it was great. And then we get back and we have more work.
Yeah, so Saturday night, we had been invited to go to see a show at Dr. Phillips Center, and it was A Dream is a Wish, which is Michael James Scott performing with the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra. Yeah. And you might know Michael James Scott. He is the genie from the Aladdin on Broadway.
And you hear his voice all over the place. The commercial that's on TV right now is him. But
on The Wish, he's the main singer of The Wish.
Yes, and he actually is always at Festival of the Arts during the concert series.
Yes, he is. He is. Excellent entertainer.
Very good entertainer. It was an hour and a half long. He did a little 90s melody. It was pretty fun. He did a gospel song. He did and the orchestra itself was wonderful. It was kind of fun. We were exhausted, but it was kind of fun to get dressed up to go out.
It was.
We got a flat tire on the way home, which is, our luck.
Which sucked. Because I'm having to change a tire in my suit.
Yeah, and I was wearing heels, and my heels were sinking in the dirt on the side of the freeway. But so then there was that, and then we have to recoup because the Epic Universe Media event starts
tonight, Monday night. Starts. So that's why we're recording a little bit earlier in the day here to get this out so you guys can hear it. But so the next few days, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out on our socials with Epic. So make sure you stay tuned to all that. And Epic ends on Thursday for us. Then we have Memorial Day weekend, which Aiden's birthday is next weekend. Mm-hmm. Then we have Memorial Day with friends party at their house. Then Disney Hollywood Studios starts their media event for the new shows at the studios.
26th and 27th.
On Memorial Day evening.
There's no break.
So Memorial Day evening, we have media events at the studios. And then the day after, on that Tuesday, there's also events going on at the studios.
And I'll let you guys know more about that. I haven't got my know before you go email from Disney yet. So, but there's more stuff coming, and tired but grateful. Mm-hmm. And we just got to keep going.
You can't stop now.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Can't stop us now. There's only a couple news stories that came out while we were gone. There's been a lot about our event, so if you guys watch our socials, go catch up on all that. But so in the last week, I'm just going to mention them, but you guys can click to read more. Disney's Create Your Own Headband experience is brought to online, so you can order those Create Your Own Headbands online, which we got those for the Disney 70th. We got the Goofy, Mickey, and Minnie.
Yeah, so the Create Your Own Headbands have 70th anniversary characters now.
Yes, so we have those, but they have those now online, so is it on DisneyStore.com? Is that what that was?
You know what?
I'm guessing that's what it had to be.
I just wrote about the new characters. I don't know of anything else.
Okay. And then Old Navy also dropped a Disney Americana collection.
Yeah, and what's funny about that is when I put that out, I was reminiscing about how I think probably in anybody's history at some point, like especially summertime, 4th of July, people bought matching Old Navy shirts. I know when
$5, I think.
They were $5. I know when the boys were little, my parents always had a 4th of July party, and from the time they were born, I would go there and get the $5 shirt so the boys would match. I matched them a lot, even though they were 3 years apart. But yeah, so it's kind of, I mean, they're not $5 anymore.
No.
But they have a new
I think they're still reasonable.
Reasonable. But they have a new Disney line, so you can go to Old Navy and get yourself some Disney swag or outfits for the summer.
There you go. And then we didn't have any Universal news drop, but this week there's going to be a lot of Universal news with Epic Universal. Our videos, our photos, all that stuff will be coming out this week. So stay tuned to the socials. I'm going to be putting up even more video by the end of this week.
Oh my gosh, you guys, it's going to be content overload, and it has been, but just keep watching.
Just keep watching. That's what we and share it. Please share with everybody you know.
Because social media sucks.
It does. So I have a question for you from a listener who has not sent a question in before. So this is from Traci.
Okay.
And Traci asks,
Tracy.
and you have no idea what this question is. So you may have to think for a minute on this one. I don't know if you have an answer right away.
All right.
So it says, if she, being Michele, could be put in charge of any division at Disney, i.e. theme parks, cruise lines, media, entertainment, which one would she want to take over, and what changes or improvements would she make?
Oh, Traci, that's hard.
It is a hard question. That's why I didn't want to give this one to you ahead of time, because I wanted to see your first.
Well, you know, my brain is currently mush. Okay, so definitely not media, because that was a very hard job. I watch our media reps, and I would not want their job.
Do that.
Maybe theme parks or maybe entertainment. You know what? Let's go entertainment.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be adding some Tangled stuff.
I was going to say that's. She said, "What improvements would you or what would you change or improve?" And I knew you would Walt Disney World Tangled up.
Okay, so but here's why.
You'd expand on the bathrooms.
We need more than a bathroom. My poor girl gets a bathroom. Okay, so follow me for a second here, because I'm probably going to say the wrong things because I'm exhausted. But you know what bugs me about Walt Disney World?
Oh boy, here we go.
Is they use the same crap that people don't necessarily care about as much as the classics. And like, okay, enough with some of the current things, okay? I would want to get back to basics as far as the nostalgia that has created the company. I think that there's you guys, I don't want to get in trouble by saying what I'm really thinking, so I'm going to try to tone it down. You know, there's such thing as beating a dead horse, as they say. And you keep throwing the same stuff all the time. It's exhausting.
Okay. I know I know exactly what you mean.
Like, oh my God. Like, okay, there's like, okay, oh, here we go. All right, I'm going to say something maybe controversial, but here it comes.
We're going to get canceled.
All right.
Sorry, Nicole.
Nobody cares that I know about that movie Wish. Nobody gives a flying fig Newton about that movie. Yet, Disney World is trying to cram it in our face still. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. So, but then you don't see Brave. You don't see Tangled. There's other movies that take a shelf to stuff that was kind of a box office flop. So, why not, you know, like the movie Mean Girls, stop trying to make fetch happen. Fetch is not going to happen. Stop trying to make Wish happen. Okay? Among other things.
Do you think
variety is the key?
Okay, but think about this for one moment.
All right, what?
So when we were growing up, and prior to the 80s and the 90s, and even before that, the movies became so good, and the films were so good, and the characters became so good that our generation just loved it all. There was very few things that everybody said, ugh.
Well, think about us 90s kids when we were like, we got to see these movies come out like Aladdin.
Right.
Like The Lion King.
And that's where I'm going.
Toy Story franchise.
And that's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
So they still have movies coming out all the time.
Right.
We've had quite a few of them.
Right.
And a lot of them are in that Pixar parade.
Yeah. Some of them I haven't seen.
But do you think that's because they're throwing out these new storylines and these new characters?
Trying to get it to have the same effect?
And the generation today isn't the generation. So you got to remember, the generation today is growing up with a device in their hands from 2 years old.
Yep.
They have the stimulation of watching either a movie, a TV show, a cartoon, wherever they're at.
Yep.
I don't know how many times I saw 3-year-olds in a stroller this week watching an iPad as they're driving around the park at Disneyland. And do you think that maybe kids are on sensory overload, that there's too many options, that it's hard for some of these movies that Disney's releasing to catch on because the kid has 7,000 other options to watch besides
Absolutely.
just Disney? When we grew up, and you mentioned it yesterday or the day before, talking about in the 90s how many great movies came out the one summer. Like 25 movies came out in one summer that were all blockbuster hits. That doesn't happen now.
No, now movies are sprinkled and you don't have blockbusters like you used to. I remember, like even till recent years, like 4th of July weekend, big blockbuster movies.
Always
Christmas. I feel like since the pandemic, everything went to pot. Like you don't see things the way you used to. There isn't such thing as like huge blockbuster type of thing.
And movies would compete against each other.
Oh, yeah.
It would always, like Disney would drop a big one and Universal would drop a big movie 4th of July weekend. Let's see who's going to win. It was like a boxing match, almost like who's going to win this fight. And now, if Disney's putting out a big one 4th of July, every other studio waits till 2 weeks after.
Because the competition is it's different now.
Yeah.
I just wish... Like, okay, so I didn't mean to be so mean about that Wish movie.
Because there's people who like Wish.
I'm
you
sure
just slammed all of them.
I didn't mean to.
You
I
should
just don't know
apologize.
any.
You should apologize.
Like even my friends who love every Disney movie said meh, but they also said meh about Moana 2, that it should have been straight to Disney Plus.
Well, most of the time, second movies never do as well as the first.
Well, it depends on what it is too. But yeah, okay. So let me take it back. I'm tired and crabby. I'm not going to take it fully back. I'm just going to scale it back.
Okay.
My whole thing, Tracy, would be more variety at Walt Disney World. Like Disneyland has variety. You have representation from every flippin' movie you could possibly
from every decade.
From everything. And I think Disney World is making a mistake where it's just too much of the brand new stuff or things that people don't really care about. Or things that aren't relevant anymore. And I think that if I were in charge, I would be doing more inclusivity with all of Disney to make sure that the classics aren't forgotten in addition to, but I would also know when to give up.
Right.
Like if I knew something did not do great at the box office or, we had to clearance out all their merchandise because nobody's buying it, I'm not going to keep putting that franchise in everything.
Yeah, I don't understand that philosophy of it. If you're having to clear out the merchandise like within weeks of the movie premiere.
But let's put it in the new parade.
Let's put it in the new parade or put it in or to give it a topiary at Epcot or things or a Christmas tree at the Springs. It's like maybe rethink that one because if you couldn't sell it at the box office, all of a sudden things don't become cult classics that like
you can't force it.
Nightmare Before Christmas didn't do that great at the box office.
Well, look at Hocus Pocus.
But it took on a cult following the way Hocus Pocus did. And I get that. Some movies do have that happen but it's not because they were bad in theaters or that everybody hated them. It was just it didn't get the exposure that it needed in theaters.
But also not every film is going to have the Nightmare or the Hocus Pocus effect to where it turns into something else. Right. Like I said, you can't make fetch happen all the time. You just can't.
It's the Stitch movie. Everybody's excited about Stitch. If
I'm
you love
excited about
everybody's
Stitch.
excited. But what if for some reason the movie bombs? What if for some reason there's something in the movie that they go see it and they're like, I can't believe they did this or they changed this or they did that. That throws enough people off. Is it going to be that way then? Would people be like, oh, I can't believe I put all my eggs into that
I
basket
think Disney is pretty darn sure themselves with this movie.
They were pretty darn sure themselves with Snow White.
No, they took a backseat to that.
They realized when it got closer.
And then they totally no promotion anywhere. So they've been pushing the Stitch stuff for months.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they feel Like the projected of how it's going to do is pretty good.
I think it's going to do fantastic. I think they're going to make enough off of Stitch to pay for Snow White.
Yeah, it's for that nightmare. But
Gosh.
it is. They re-released it like Mother's Day weekend, and it did
horrible.
Horrible again. Nobody cares.
It came out to like $200 and some a weekend for each theater that showed it.
Yeah, woohoo!
On average,
like just let it go, Disney.
Really
So, yeah, that would be my thing. Variety, keeping everything, like focus on what works.
And much like the president of Disneyland said, we always have to embrace and remember the past.
Remember where you
while we
came
move
from.
forward.
I really feel that that's important, and I think Disneyland gets that. Walt Disney World does not.
And I wonder if that's because Walt Disney World is a tourist destination where Disneyland is residents or annual pass holders
and Disney
and
purists,
true
to where
purists.
the people that
Yes.
that love the company, love the history, love all of it. I just like I said, my whole thing is anything in life, when you see something, no matter how hard you try, is not doing what you want it to, it's time to know when to take a turn and do another direction. And I think Walt Disney World is not doing that.
Yeah, it's hard to hang it up, even though you see the writing on the wall.
Hang it up, Disney.
It's hard to walk away from something.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily quitting. It's just realizing, okay, this is
not working out. Let's
move
see
forward.
what
Instead
does
of
work.
keep losing money.
Yes.
Let's move forward with something that's going to be better.
Yes.
And
okay, Disney did that though, because Snow White bombed
Mm-hmm.
so bad, they're like, we're scrapping these live action princess movies now. And I think that was the smart way to go, because they're finally listening to consumers in some respect, because we can complain, consumers can complain, but when we actually take a stance with your pocketbook, that's a whole different thing.
It's the money that matters.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what people say online. The fact that you still went and spent money on it,
Yep.
then Disney looks, well, you know what? It doesn't matter if they complain about it. They already paid for it.
And you really
or
have,
any bit movie.
you have to listen to guest feedback at some point, because, and for whatever reason, there's so much more fuss and protesting go on when it comes to Walt Disney World, and Disney purists not being happy with some of the things that are being done there or not being done, or, you see the Disney World fans that are always the whole Walt would roll in his grave thing because of things. Now, granted, things do have to progress, but you can't forget about what works.
Right. And I look at Jeff Volley, who runs Walt Disney World. Fantastic man.
And he's always smiling. And
he's
happy.
always happy. He's a great guy. And I don't blame any of this on him whatsoever. Because I know there's powers that be that are beyond him.
He can't just say, okay, well, we're going to do this or that. There's a creative team.
Right.
It's almost like majority rules. I just wish that sometimes Walt Disney World would listen to what the consumers are saying, because people will speak with their wallets. And, I think that I wish, and I think it's more prevalent right now because we just got back from Disneyland. If they would take some of the old time charm that Disneyland has and implement it over to Walt Disney World.
Well, yeah, one of the things I absolutely love in Disneyland, and we sat in there a couple times, that's where you got the duck videos, is that little theater there where they perform like the story of Tangled Up Before You, Beauty and the Beast multiple times a day. Just something like that is so simple.
So simple.
But it's so heartwarming, and it's so much based on the originality of the company.
Or the old rides in Fantasyland.
Or the old rides. I love that. That is probably my favorite area of Disneyland, is behind the castle.
Because it's classic. And it's so funny because I was telling you, they have that old smell to it. Not like mothballs.
No.
But like an old, like that old classic Disney smell. Like smells can be nostalgia. And it reminds you of being a small child going in these things. And it's like, and that's why Disney scents are so such a thing. Yep. But they still have that old fashioned smell and feel to it. And it's like a time machine.
And when you walk back there, you walk through the castle and you come through to that Fantasyland where those rides are, it's smaller.
It's so small.
It's very small back there. So they could have easily said, you know what, let's take out these rides, make more room back here. We can do this.
Oh my gosh, you talk about meltdowns people would have, but I'm so thankful they haven't done that.
I'm so thankful, and I hope they never do.
I hope they never do. Keep it.
Because that area to me, that's reminds
Walt.
Me of Walt Disney.
Absolutely.
That area absolutely reminds me of Walt Disney walking back there, because I could see him. I see that picture of him walking through the that was hanging in our room at the hotel.
Yeah.
Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah.
And I picture him walking back there and looking at that all and being so proud of what he created.
Absolutely.
And so every time I'm back there, I just think Walt was probably on this ride. Walt may have sat on this seat of this ride.
Yeah, Walt oversaw all of that.
And granted, the carts have been replaced. But
of course, but I wish that Walt Disney World could get in touch with some of that. So that would be, Tracy, that's my answer, and it's a very long answer, and I'm sorry if I rambled.
I think it was a good answer.
Do you?
I do. I do think it was a really good answer. So if you would like to ask a question like Tracy, you can email me, scott@themainstreetmouse.com, and I will ask Michele on the air, just like I did this one where she had no idea what was coming at her.
That was my tired answer.
It was. Imagine if you had time to think about it.
Yeah.
It'd be one thing if I asked you and said, okay, next week you're going to answer this question. And you had a week to think about it.
Right.
Throwing you on the spot and making you answer.
It's better that way because then you get my off-the-cuff answer.
And you don't overthink it and change your mind 15 times.
And I overthink everything in life, maybe it's better this way.
So again, if you have a question for Michele, you can email me, scott@themainstreetmouse.com, and I will ask Michele on the air. If you'd also like to submit a question or a show idea to Michele for her Daydream Believing podcast that comes out on Thursday, you can email her at michele@themainstreetmouse.com, and she will answer or respond back to you with feedback or whatever you email to her.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to mention our sponsors really quick. MEI Mouse Fan Travel. As we mentioned, we did get to see Becky when we were in Disneyland because Becky is always traveling. So sometimes it's very hard to actually see Becky. You can email her or call her anytime, but to actually see her, we don't get to see her that much. And we were talking to her about our TMSM next fan cruise.
Yes. So people have been asking when we're going to do another fan cruise. It's been 2 years. Now we're just trying to figure out if we want to do a 4-day or a 7-day. I would love to hear your feedback on that. I'm going to do a survey in our Facebook group. And we're thinking next late winter, early spring.
Yeah.
So I just what we want to do is gear it towards what the fans want.
Right.
So stay tuned for that because the fan cruise is always a good time.
And we're going to be pushing that this will not be on a Disney ship. Becky told us to make sure we let you guys know that. So what we're going to do is Becky's looking at a Royal Caribbean ship, which Royal will allow Becky to come on there and basically Disney-fy.
We can Disney-fy the whole thing, and it's affordable. And that's another change we wanted to make because the last time we did the Wish. And as wonderful as it is, the main complaint I got from people is they couldn't afford to go. And a lot of people just want to, hang out with other Main Street Mouse fans, Disney fans, and have that fellowship and get, our community has created so many friends and people made friends from what we've done. And we want to continue that. And how much more fun is it to travel with friends? So that's what we want to do is make it affordable. We're going to Disney it up.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, Becky plans to get event space and such so we can have things where we're all together, having fun together, doing things that you guys are going to really love. So she has a lot of ideas. We're going to sit down and talk to her about it next month. She's actually going to be here and we're going to get to talk more.
And the new Royal ships are...
they're floating cities.
They are.
They really
so stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. But if you're planning another trip, maybe not a TMSM fan cruise, which I don't know why you wouldn't want to do that.
You totally want to go.
If you want to go see Disneyland 70th or anything. You can reach out to MEI Mouse Fan Travel. If you click any of their banners on our website, it will take you to their website, fill out a small form, and one of their travel advisors will contact you, and they will help you plan the perfect trip, and they will take care of all the planning. Almost like how Disneyland helped us plan this last trip, and they took care of everything for us, made it easy. MEI Mouse Fan will do that for you as well.
Absolutely.
Also, our official stroller scooter partner, Kingdom Strollers, they can help you with any rentals you need. Go to their site, kingdomstrollers.com, and make sure you let them know you heard about from Main Street Mouse, and they will rent you the equipment. They will deliver, pick it up, and they will take care of whatever you need when you're in the Central Florida area. I'm going to finish now. I've talked a lot. My voice hurts, so I'm going to let Michele close us out.
Okay, you guys. Don't forget about lostprincessapparel.com for your theme park outfits. Again, we are so grateful to all of you for following everything that we do, for supporting everything that we do. We really hope that you enjoy the work that we put out there because we really do it with all of you in mind to make sure you get this, magical experience and get to share these things with us. Again, more footage coming this week from Epic Universe. We have all kinds of footage on YouTube and all our socials, so stay tuned. And on that note, we hope you have a wonderful, fantastic, magical week ahead, and we will see you real soon.
Our trip around the Magic Kingdom is almost complete. I can't thank you enough for spending part of your day with me. And I hope you've enjoyed your journey as much as I've appreciated being a part of it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please gather your belongings, watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
On behalf of our entire flight crew, Thanks for soaring with us.
Now I will raise the safety bar, and a ghost will follow you home.
Summer magic.